All right, welcome to RSG One Mic. Like I told you, I said, hey, beginning of February, we're gonna have a surprise, and I'm doing it. We're here live from Beloit, Wisconsin. We're in what we're gonna call the new RSG studio. But you know, I still have my guys, Hank and Darnell, on the vibe with me from that cold tundra over there in Michigan. But One Mic, if you want to follow us, check us out on realsportsguys.com or Real Sports Guys on all our social media. It's going to be an exciting show. But, you know, before I get into it, I always got to bring my guys in and connect with them. So, hey, Hank, what's going on, man? How's it been going?
Man, you know what? It's been a great day for sports. You know, we're living here in, like you said, the frozen tundra, the only state where you can have all 4 seasons in 1 week or in 24 hours. You know, we had an ice storm today where I had to skate outside and get my trash can. Before I get back to my front door, it was 45 degrees and I had to put some shorts on. But outside of that, everything is good. Everything is lovely. And I'm just glad to be here.
And you know, as always, we got the young in here. Darnell, man, how you doing, brother? Welcome.
I'm frustrated.
What you frustrated about?
The Michigan State Spartans have lost 3 straight games. We can't make a free throw. We're losing to Illinois. It's been a rough week.
Hey, I'm not if you frustrated. That just makes me elated because I'm gonna tell you right now. When Spartans loss is my win. So you know, tell them to keep up the good work.
you see the shirt I'm wearing. You see the shirt I'm wearing. So you know, tribute to my guys, the Fab Five. So hey, y'all, we're gonna get into the open mic. What's great about this time of year? There's so much happening. But the NBA has kind of taken on this NFL kind of phenomenon in the sense that where this trade deadline has become even more and more of a subject. I almost don't remember sometimes trade deadlines in the NBA. You know, maybe back when the Pistons, did their, with Trader Jack, made the blockbuster trades, but I don't remember the kind of energy that we're given. The free agency period had some energy in recent years, but the trade deadline, we had Anthony Davis being the big person that everybody was talking about, and it came and gone, and New Orleans didn't budge. So for some reason, they didn't want Rondo. All these things were happening in trade deadlines, but we did have a blockbuster deal with the Sixers in Philadelphia that, frankly, I didn't see coming. At all. You heard a lot of stuff, people talking about a lot of different things, but I did not see a trade happening between the Clippers and the 76ers on my watch. And so when you think about the trade line, let's deal with the Lakers. Lakers don't make it happen. Where do you think they go with this? Obviously they made the trade with Detroit, but they don't get the trade deadline, then they go out and play Indiana and lose by 40. LeBron's worst loss of his career. Hank, when you saw that loss and then you kind of saw how this deadline passed, where do you think the Lakers go with this? Because they're in danger of losing Anthony Davis at some point. Even though he wants to go, it's not all in his hands about where he goes.
See, here's the problem that I have, okay? You got this whole LeBron James thing. All right, where he wants to come in and start being influential into all of a sudden want to turn his team into a championship team. He knew what he was getting into when he went out to Los Angeles. We had the conversation talking about it's a business deal, his family, and that sort of thing. And we said, well, so what he's going to do? So what he's done is he's forcing the Lakers' hand. If I come, you got to start making some deals to get some people here to try to win a championship right now. Where do the Lakers go is a very good question because the Anthony Davis thing was a dumpster fire, okay? It was a dumpster fire to the point where now you've got New Orleans don't want to even play him right now, and he's a healthy scratch, okay? He's demanding a trade, so now you're talking about going to a lesser player, if you will, to try to go to Los Angeles. I don't know. To me, it's a mess. To me, it's a hot mess. And now you got Walton being thrown under the bus. Because his team is not ready to compete. But it makes it really difficult for where they're going to go. I don't know. I really don't know. But I do want to say one other thing that you brought up in your intro that I kind of want to take just a little bit of an exception to. When you say it's more like the NFL, To me, I see this more like like Major League Baseball. Okay, and why is that? Because you're starting to see these teams trying to sell off contracts, not just assets. I mean, not just players, but trust off these contracts. And the fact is, that New Orleans was trying to ask for everything that the Lakers had. That even if they had got Anthony Davis, they wouldn't have had no team to do anything in the West anyway. You know, Lonzo Ball and those sort of players that was asked to come to. Okay, so now where the Lakers go is really going to be dependent upon how much leverage is that franchise going to give to LeBron James to kind of like pick and choose who he want to play with. That's the way I've seen it. Because when you start talking about that 40-point loss, you know, if you looked at any of the visuals of that game, you started seeing LeBron James sitting 2 to 3 seats away from his teammates, almost like he's separating himself from that, and that's not a good look. That's not a good look. So it's like you may have a little bit more going on in there that's almost going back into soap opera mode than you have. This is the Los Angeles Lakers. It ain't the Cleveland Cavaliers. Okay, this team got a little bit more cachet than that.
So Darnell, if we think about, you know, you bringing this different perspective, you know, the youngin perspective, what's your perspective when you look at where the Lakers are and what they're doing? And, you know, what does this say for Magic and Pelinka, you know, who, you know, are trying to set this thing up to kind of to make this run for these free agents in the midst of people like KD saying, you know, maybe LeBron's not the kind of person to play for, right? Exactly. LeBron's not, maybe it's too hot. Maybe other stars don't want to be part of that circus.
Exactly.
You don't have your mic on? Look at you.
On mute.
This is what we're talking about. We bring the young guy in and his mic isn't on. We're going to have to send you a training manual.
And once again, over the backstop.
Over the backstop. You know, it's just you're just throwing the ball wherever you're going to throw it. Are you ready right now? Are you ready?
KD was vindicated last night.
You said he was vindicated.
Lakers lost. They lost by 40 points, right? LeBron was sitting four seats away from his nearest teammate. Rondo was sitting in the doggone stands. He was sitting with the fans waiting to get subbed in the game. Man, and I'm going to go to my second point right now. With Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka, they are way too desperate to get Anthony Davis. Why are they trying to trade their whole roster for Anthony Davis? You're bidding against yourself. Nobody else is making no offers, especially not publicly. Like Boston. Well, he already said, him and his dad already said he doesn't want to. If he goes to Boston, he's probably not staying in Boston. But the Milwaukee Bucks do not have the assets. The other teams that he has put on his list, they don't even have the assets to acquire Anthony Davis. And the Lakers are out here, and they saying, we want he's like, we'll give you Lonzo, we'll give you Kuzma, we'll give you Ingram, we'll give you Michael Beasley, we'll give you Rondo, we'll give you LeBron
first
James
round
Jr.
picks.
We'll give you LeBron James Jr. We'll give you the whole state of California. We're gonna give you Manny Machado. We're gonna give you everything. Like, oh my goodness!
And we're gonna throw in Kevin Hart.
They had
right.
The
and a couple of Kardashians.
Had the audacity to say, "Oh, that's not enough. We need 4 first-round picks, and we want Josh Hart." I'm like, you better give us Uncle Drew, the real Uncle Drew, Drew Holiday. Come on, man.
So they're the ones everybody's waiting to make the splash. And then Philly comes out with this trade. They get Tobias Harris. They get Boban Marjanovic. They get Mike Scott. They give up Landry Shamet. Now, that's one. I like this kid. He played at Wichita State. Great play. Wilson Chandler. And then they got a couple. They got a first round. They got first round draft picks as well. I think the Clippers got away. This was highway robbery. You think about all the way. But they got Tobias Harris, which is the in this, and you put him in with that group. Where do you put Philly? We've been talking about Philly. Darnell, where you put Philly in this with this kind of move?
I don't know, because Wilson Chandler can do a lot of the same things that that Tobias is doing, except for Tobias he's an upgrade. Like, he can create his own shot as well as hit the open shot. So I think that elevates them offensively. And the sleeper part of the trade is Boban, because like at certain points they're going to be so long with that bench. Like you could stagger a little bit and you could have a lineup with like Simmons, Boban. You could have some really long pieces in there, and they could get their they could really disrupt the passing lanes and make teams really work for baskets. So I think this is a good move, but they were already in the picture. So I don't know if this catapults them above Boston or Toronto, but it really improves their team in my point of view.
And I almost think the Tobias one was an insurance pick against whatever they're going to do in terms of the Jimmy Butler piece, right? I think in some ways, because each of those guys are really they're on 1-year deals, which I think they might end up being able to keep Tobias. I'm not sure if they want Butler. So in some ways, it's kind of an insurance deal for someone like, Butler. If you feel like the chemistry in the way the young guys are responding to him and the coach is in a way you got a guy like Tobias who can come and play a role this year, but can also expand his role if Butler goes out. Hank, what was your reaction to Philly making that splash and that move? Almost like when they got Moses Malone and 4-4-4. Was this a 4-4-4 Moses move?
This is a move, and see, at once upon a time, and we had this conversation that they were going to have to try to make a move to get themselves past Boston. Now they got to get themselves past Milwaukee. Okay, so I think this is why this move is made. Okay, so this is a right now move for Philadelphia. That's what this move is, bringing Tobias Harris in. But what you're not looking at is what the Clippers got. I think what the Clippers got out of this deal is even a better move. The Clippers go, okay, they got the players that were aforementioned, but you look at the draft picks they've got. Okay, they take Philadelphia's first-round protected pick this year, or the 2020. They get Miami's unprotected pick next year. Okay, or 2 years ago. But it's the players that the draft picks they got to build this team right now, plus the contracts. And Tobias played well enough this year to look for a max contract that he wasn't going to sign. Okay, with the Clippers back. So this is where this makes a lot of sense for them. When we're looking on the other side, we want to see what Philly is doing. But knowing where the Clippers are in the West, this makes a lot of sense for them. Let's start getting ourselves ready now, and get rid of some of we just got through talking about it, get rid of some of these contracts that, without getting nothing for them. So that's what makes sense on that end of this deal. But again, we know that from the Philadelphia piece, they got to do whatever they can to stay with Milwaukee, stay with Boston.
And I think, when you think about some of the other moves that were made, it's interesting. Milwaukee picks up Stanley Johnson. Thon Maker wasn't getting minutes. I like Thon Maker. I like that move for the Pistons in terms of, I think it gives them some flexibility with some size. But then you bring a guy like Stanley Johnson who can defend on the wing. I think he still needs to work on that jump shot and spacing. But you give it a guy that's another depth kind of guy who you can give minutes to. So you see some of these minor moves. Everybody's always looking for the splash, but you see some of these minor moves that people are making here at the trade time that you won't think is a major move until you start seeing it in the playoffs and see it pay dividends. And then the Lakers did get Reggie Bullock. They didn't go without.
The Pistons traded the wrong doggone Reggie. That's the problem. They traded the wrong Reggie. Okay, they traded Reggie Bullock. They should have traded Reggie Jackson. I mean, we've been talking about this forever.
They in love with him.
You got to get a point guard back if you trade Reggie.
Okay, but listen, if you have to ask yourself, you got a East right now with Detroit in the East. They got to do, even if they were to trade him to get some assets back. I mean, get something back. Okay, but that was.
Who's playing point guard then?
Yeah, but you know what? That was the thing. When that trade went down, I mean, people were livid. They were like, "How you traded the wrong Reggie?"
and then
you got to get a point guard. But you know,
I'm with you, and because Reggie Jackson is a guy who's going to shoot. He's not going to run your team. I watched the Pistons play in Chicago, and
that's not a point.
They need a floor general. They need a floor general.
You can't be a point guard and try to be a two at the same time.
One of the sneaky moves is Rodney Hood going to the Blazers. I think people just forgot how good he is. And to add him in the mix, because when I watched the Blazers play, I mean, it's basically their backcourt doing everything. I mean, they got some other players, but they need another person on the wing who can actually do some things. And so Stauskas is like the new Sam Decker. I don't know who gets traded more, Stauskas or Sam Decker. It's like these Big Ten guys are getting traded. And they, you try to find like they're playing solid, but they always get moved. But I saw Stauskas in here. I'm like, man, I don't know who gets traded more, Stauskas or Sam Decker. So we're gonna be able to watch this trade deadline, watch where things go, get a sense of how this goes. And I know in future shows we'll be able to kind of see, whether or not these moves are paying off. Like you said, there's some sneaky picks that are out there that people are getting as part of these drafts that'll pay off, their investments in the future. That, the logo out there in the Clipper land is behind a lot of this stuff in terms of trying to set up and clear cap room to be able to make a run there in the summer for free agency. So we'll do that. So as we move into the cipher, it was Super Bowl time. Now, I think both of y'all sat on the side of the Patriots. And I tried to step outside and look at you, Hank.
I want you to wake me up when the game starts.
This is the part that I want to get to.
Wake me up when the Super Bowl starts. I'm still asleep. Has the game started yet? Have they scored a touchdown yet? Wake me up, will you?
Yes. I will. I will wake you up when it starts.
Okay.
Now,
started all right.
One of the things we just do, we're gonna keep moving here. So one of the things y'all see in a minute, because we are taping in the new studio, and I'm learning how to wear a mic on there. That I started doing all my arm movements, and the mic is somewhere over somewhere yonder. So you might see somebody come in and do a picture. It's the great producer over here, Keith, who's coming in, who might put it back on my neck. But let me keep moving on this. This is the part I had with you. To me, I enjoyed the game because we got to the point where we can't appreciate two of the greatest defensive minds in football, and they just happen to come up with strategies. See, this is how we get down. We'll keep it moving, y'all. We just happen to come up with strategies to neutralize two of the top offenses in the league. What's the problem with that? And it was scheme. It was playing chess, not checkers. And they were putting away game plans. And I thought it was a fun game to watch for someone who likes defense. Now everybody is like, if we're not scoring, we're not doing this stuff, it's not good football. I don't think that's a good thing. I thought both those defenses just played well.
Okay,
Hank, now I'm going to give you a chance.
Now, listen, I'm not going to take nothing away from how both those defenses played, okay? They played fabulous, and they schemed well. That being said, you're not going to sit here and tell me that Jared Goff played well in that game. You're not going to sit here and tell me that Tom Brady played his best for 3 quarters.
You're not going to tell Jared Goff to go.
Hold on. I'm going to give you the mic in a second. I'm going to tell you what I saw, okay?
That's why we call it one mic.
Now, I'm telling you, I thought that the Rams did a disservice, okay, about not trying to open up that run game, okay? If Todd Gurley is hurt, then you need to do something else with him. Now what the New England Patriots did, if you go back and you look at the stats, and I know you're a stat man, Darnell, look at how much the New England Patriots moved that ball down the field and just simply could not get the ball in the end zone. If you look at the stats of that, they should have dominated that game. All right? This is the same Rams defense that allowed Kansas City to score 40 points on them almost, okay? So I'm sitting here saying to you that while both of these teams played well, there was something else going on. Okay, I didn't see a whole lot of that was some great scheming behind it. Now the one thing about the Rams that the Rams had no worries about a vertical passing game from the New England Patriots. All right, none at all. Josh Gordon was gone. They knew they just had to play within 15, 20 yards of the line of scrimmage and forced the GOAT to try to find Edelman. So they ran a lot of slant patterns. Okay. But that being said, they moved the football down, and because of that, there was no way of getting the ball in. That was kind of a snooze fest to me. And then Jared Goff, he was getting. I don't know what was going on there. I'm not taking nothing away from the defense, but this is the NFL. All right, you're gonna sit here and tell me a 3-3 game at halftime with these two offenses? I disagree. There was something else. It was a snooze fest. They didn't execute as well on offense, though.
So let's think about when they met 17 years ago. The reason why Brady was able to get his run started was with a defense and a running game and a scheme that protected. Brady didn't just win that first Super Bowl. The first couple was really on defense. This Super Bowl wasn't about Jared Goff. This Super Bowl was supposed to be about Gurley. Gurley was supposed to be the one to help move the chains, provide Goff with the space to be able to throw. His development is not like the Mahomes development. It was his development was more like Brady's development was, where it was the defense was going to help. And the reason why I think the defense played better is that a lot of those guys were hurt. All those guys were hurt. They finally they had 2 weeks to practice. Some of these guys got together. The defensive line was playing a little bit better in the playoffs. So the part that wasn't there, and we'll find out later, is that Gurley should have been the one carrying the weight, not Goff. And the fact that they weren't able to get him on the field, he only had 10 touches. Now, this is an MVP candidate, and he only had 10 touches. So he either really hurt or the genius isn't so much of a genius.
Yeah.
I love CJ, but Gurley's the beast.
He cannot be a decoy in the Super Bowl. If he was able to play, you should have worked him to death in that game. If you weren't going to do it, he got the whole off season to recoup.
That's it. The whole off season.
I didn't understand that, and that was kind of on a frustrating side because it's like, to the game's credit, when you got a game that's low scoring, you're going to be on the edge of your seat because any play, it could be the play to break the game open. So I'm not taking that away from it. But when you're just looking at the game as a whole, just quarter to quarter to quarter, you saw some stuff like, oh my God, you can make a play there and you're just missing it. Okay. And that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about it from more of a coach perspective, that I saw some stuff that was missed on offense that they probably could have scored on early, either team.
So Donnell, what did you see? What did you see that was being done? The Pats were doing to the Rams. The Rams were doing. What were some of the things you see from a technical side?
Well, it was a tough match from the very first possession. Even though Todd Gurley didn't get nearly the amount of snaps that we expected him to get, right from the get-go, you saw Danny Shelton, you saw Dante Hightower, you saw Kyle Van Noy. They were able to get into the backfield early and often. They were not trying to because the Rams they're a zone blocking scheme, right? So they want to stretch you out and they want to look for cutback lanes. But what the Patriots did was they didn't want to go east to west with you. Their D linemen and their outside backers, they just shot the gaps. And when they shot the gaps, they were able to blow up plays in the backfield. And when that started happening, Sean McVay stopped running the ball as much. So that took away the running game at the very beginning of the game. And after that, it was a passing game. And Brandon Cooks he's a decent receiver, but he's not good. He's not on the level of Stephon Gilmore. And Stephon Gilmore had him on clamps the whole game almost. And on the other side of the ball, the Rams played a bend but don't break defense. They went zone because when they went in man, there are just too many weapons. You have Julian Edelman, somebody has to account for Julian Edelman. Someone else has to account for Gronk. Someone else has to account for James White coming out the backfield. So to account for that, they just went zone and said bend but don't break. They can get these little 5 to 10 yard routes, but at the end of the day, when the field shortens up, we're going to be able to tighten up and we're going to be able to get off the football field. We're going to hold them to 3. So that was their strategy, and it worked. The Rams didn't do anything wrong defensively. They held the held the Patriots to 13 points. They just have to get more production on the offensive end of the field. So that was what I saw as far as how the game was going. And I don't believe the game was boring. I believe it was a tactical chess match. It's kind of like in boxing when we have like a power puncher. And since the game was pretty much the entire game was played at a one possession from like a one possession game. So like there was this feeling, there's like a tension going on in the game where like any one play can like change everything. So like, okay, what if somebody gets loose and what if somebody misses a tackle? That's 7 points right there. And 7 points is big in this game. What if somebody fumbles the ball and it's going the other way and that's another touch and that's a defensive touchdown? That changes a lot because points are at a premium in this game. So I thought this is a pretty exciting game. I know I'm a defensive player, so I was a defensive player, so this is I'm a little biased. My favorite player was Ray Lewis. Those are my teams. So, yeah, but that's the way I saw it.
It was interesting, and so I want to go back to the point that, because I think you both made some great points, is that when you were talking about them playing upfield, which I think was the best way to get in early, attack the gaps. One of the countermeasures, especially with Gurley in, is play action and then screen game. So allow for that pressure to come upfield and then get behind it for the screen game. But none of that stuff. Obviously they miss Cooper Kupp. Having that slot type receiver who could create space. But I mean, you didn't see any of that kind of creativity off of it. You saw them kind of running the same stuff. Like even if you look at the series of plays that they showed that New England ran, they ran the same series. They ran a hitch with the seam route and a crossing route, and they showed how Brady used that offense, that one play, how he executed in 3 different ways. Yeah. You didn't see that level of discipline that McVay was allowing to happen in the Rams offense, where you can run it, but you can use variations and get him to concentrate on some of the other elements. You just didn't see that kind of adjustment at all.
Yeah, but Jared Goff was confused. Like one thing they were doing, the Patriots, they were having a lot of guys. They were doing something old. I forgot the defensive coordinator from the Steelers a long time. I think it's Dick LeBeau. He was doing the old
Dick LeBeau.
Doing the old Dick LeBeau trick where they would have the line of scrimmage would have like guys like it's amorphous. Like there's like you don't know who's rushing, who's not. Everybody's like walking up and walking back, so you don't know. The blitz might be coming from here. The blitz might be coming from here.
Not at all.
Jared Goff is looking at it. So Jared Goff is looking at it. He's like, I don't know what to do. And then the pressure's coming, and then somebody else is dropping back. So they were able to keep the ball in his hands for some time. So that was something that really confused him. And once again, the routes were not open. Like the receivers weren't getting open. Like I think they said like there was like 2.5. I forgot what the stat was they showed on ESPN, but like I watched the game 2 or 3 times, and even on the screenplays you were talking about like when the Patriots scouted the play action to perfection, because that's one thing I said in the preview that the team that prepares the most is the team that's going to win. And Bill Belichick, nobody prepares more than Bill Belichick. And you saw even from the first play action that the Rams ran, they had a guy accounted for the running back, and then they had another guy that was waiting on the play action. He was sitting at the line of scrimmage, and then like he had his hand on the tight end and just waiting for he was like waiting for the pass to come. So he took away the first option.
So, but the part that I think one of the things I saw that he could have done is sometimes with a young player like that, if you watch Jared, he's really good at 2 minute offense. I think sometimes when you get the kind of defensive look you get, you go hurry up. You know, and I think one of the ways they built Brady up over time is they effectively used that no huddle hurry up, where he's just playing on instinct. Because sometimes you just got to play on instinct. The other thing I think you said, when you do that Dick LeBeau defense, part of it is you got to trap it. And because they build off that play action in a very kind of long, you know, they don't run a lot of that quick trap stuff. Where if you're up on the line and you get caught trying to go back, we can run some trap action on it. But I thought the no huddle, I thought they should have run more no huddle. And they did get into the Patriots, you know, they got into their territory. But I think that was the point where they should have gone no huddle, right? And let him just kind of do it. So, you know, he's going to learn from it. One thing he don't want to have is the Dan Marino moment. Get there as a young guy and never see it again. I mean, you can't say he's going to come back because there's no evidence to say he'll come back. But let me ask this question. What do you want to say?
I guess when I go back and I look at this Super Bowl,
yes,
the question that I will always have is Todd Gurley. And why were you platooning Todd Gurley? Why did you not, if you were not going to use Todd Gurley as much as you were going to in the New Orleans game, okay? He is a home run threat, okay? That if you got linebackers coming out, I thought I was going to see this in the second half, especially with you talking about Hightower and Van Noy really getting in there. Well, if your linebackers is doing that, if you're reading that, then aren't you saying, I want you to slip out behind that and get the ball to your most explosive player and make him make plays on your safety and your corners?
Yeah.
That didn't happen, okay? And so if you're saying to me, then this is the thing, and it hasn't really come up yet. If you're saying to me that Todd Gurley was hurt, that's one thing. If you're saying he wasn't hurt, then McVay needs to be held accountable for not using his best weapon properly.
Well, CJ was out playing him the whole playoffs.
But that's not it doesn't matter. See,
this is the Super Bowl. Okay, this is the Super Bowl. You got to go with your most explosive player. Okay.
Yes.
Like you said, this is an MVP caliber player. He can make plays. Okay, you get him in your secondary, anything can happen. Especially when you're into a one-score game. For you to go and be conservative like that and not use your best player and not to continue to use your best player. I think that if you look at the second half of that ball game and you're seeing Todd Gurley, every other play touching the rock, and they still lose, you walk away saying, okay, we did all we could. Now you say, yeah, the Patriots just shut them down. They didn't use it. Like you said, I don't know if he touched the ball 10 times in that whole game. This is the Super Bowl. You got the whole summer to get right. I don't care if that leg is dangling off. Chung broke his arm, and he came back on the field. He didn't play, but he came back on the field. Okay? You got to put it out there. That bothers me watching him, not show any level of true injury, and he's not on the field playing.
So, I mean, you make it. I call this McVay's George Karl moment. When George Karl was in the finals and he wouldn't put Gary Payton on Michael Jordan, and everybody in the world knew that Payton fed off the competition. So this is like McVay's kind of like, you're not utilizing your best player in the most competitive way, and so he better have been hurt. If not, I'm calling this is your George Karl moment. So Where do they go from here? Where do they go from here? Hank, where does New England go from here? And then Darnell, I'm ask you where the Rams go from here.
Okay, New England, okay, for them, I'm going to tell you right now, their journey becomes tougher. Okay? Say what you will, all right? Tom Brady's 41 years old. Say what you will. Julian
We're still here.
He's still here, but he's defied logic. But you cannot keep looking at okay, you look at the team from last year, the team that lost the Super Bowl. Okay, that was a shootout. Then this one was a defensive struggle. But you can't. You're not going to keep getting away with. I know we're saying this, but you're not going to keep getting away with a small slot receiver winning you Super Bowls at 13-3. Okay, you got a Pat Mahomes out there. Okay, you got players like that. You got teams like that. You got the Rams, for God's sakes. Okay, these teams are going to get better. And oh, by the way, over in the AFC, you got teams that like Los Angeles Chargers and that's going and again in the Kansas Cities that's going to challenge this team. Where do they go? They got to get younger. Okay, they simply got to get younger. And if they get younger, then that's their charge. Then what they got to do is get younger and try to keep this thing going the best way they can.
And I know they got some draft picks, I think, coming up that can allow them to get younger in this upcoming draft. Darnell, where do the Rams go from here?
All right, now it's time for the offseason, and we have to we have the Rams. We have to prepare for the draft. If I'm the Rams, I'm looking for a linebacker. We need because for the Super Bowl, one thing I didn't touch on was the other side of the ball. When the Patriots had the ball and the Rams were on defense, you see the Rams, like most NFL teams nowadays, they're built differently than they were back in the day. So they have like smaller linebackers that are built to go sideline to sideline and that kind of thing. So when the Patriots, especially that last drive, when they drove from almost like the 4-yard line, they ran it near every play almost, and they was just downhill, full back. They saw Devlin coming, the guard was pulling, and they weren't able to deal with the contact. So the Rams, they need a linebacker. The linebacker has been the weakness of the defense the whole year. They had a bad grade against the run, and they kind of shorted up towards the end of the season. But at the beginning of the season, it was a problem for them. But I would say we need to go linebacker. I would go. I would see if Devin Bush is on the is he on the board when we pick, because I think Devin White is going to already be picked up. So we need a backer.
Well, they're looking at Devin Bush going to the Steelers, but if he's there, they can they can get him.
On top of that, they need wide receiver help. They need I would say second round go.
Somebody can go deep.
Yeah. Yep.
They need a deep threat. So I have a couple things we want to hit before we go to the drop the mic. One is should the Rams fans be barred from future Super Bowl? I mean, LA should be ashamed of themselves having a team in the Super Bowl, and it looked like it was a home game in Boston. I mean, people worked hard to get teams. They got 2 teams in LA, and they can't even show up at the Super Bowl. Hank, what say you?
What did I tell you? I told you. I said that this is a novelty. Did I not say that? I said that the Rams the people in did I not say that? I said they're a novelty.
You said it.
You remember you saying, wait a minute, I'm gonna bring you back to your own words. Remember you said, who has the most to lose? Okay, you said McVay has got to get this team over top. I told you, so the Rams is a novelty in LA. Okay? You got and if the Super Bowl didn't show it, you're right. I'm like, where is this game taking place? The Patriots were making a play, and you swore you was in Foxborough. Okay? They're not going to be ashamed of themselves. This was the NFL that felt like they were compelled to get a team back in Los Angeles. This is why the Rams left in the first place. Okay? This is why they left. There's too much going on out there. Yeah, you're right. It was a travesty. You got a fine young team like that, and you know why you don't hear no outrage? Because there ain't any. Okay? That's why you don't hear no outrage about Todd Gurley. That's why you got geeks like us in the Midwest asking why you're not using your best weapon, because we watched the game. We was concerned. We're talking about defensive schemes. We're talking about taking this away, taking that away. You go to your Rams fan and go, oh, they were in the Super Bowl? Well, that's nice. And you're absolutely, and that's the problem. That's the problem. Look here. The NFL is going to have a hard time. I'm going to tell you this right now. Okay, you heard it here first. They're going to have a hard time keeping both of those teams out there. Okay? Because there's too much going on out there, especially you got 2 teams out there right now. Think about this. The Raiders went out there and came back to Oakland. Okay? There's the fan. You following me? And they won a Super Bowl. And they won a Super Bowl. Wait a minute. And they won a Super Bowl. Okay? So
they won a Super Bowl.
They won a Super Bowl. What's going to happen? Nothing. The Rams, as long as they are called the Los Angeles Rams, will be a novelty. And the Chargers, too.
Darnell, Edelman got the MVP. But would you have given him the MVP?
No. if I was given,
I know you got a strong opinion on this.
Yeah, if I was given the opportunity to vote for MVP, I would give it to Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore had an excellent game. He had one interception. He had a forced fumble. He had like 4 PBUs, I think. He had 5 tackles. He was on Brandon Cooks the whole game. He had an excellent game. And if it didn't go to Stephon Gilmore, I'll give it to the entire Patriots offensive line. All of them should get the MVP because they did an excellent job that game. They both in pass rush and running the football and run blocking. Because like I mentioned earlier, the final drive from the 4-yard line, they ran the ball down the throats the whole drive. Just Sony Michel. And that was all up front. Offensive line, they were road grading them. They're just blocking them, taking them all the way down the field. It was like blindside. No. So, but you referenced Julian Edelman. So they try to make Julian Edelman out to be a Hall of Famer. And I got to take a step back for a second. We had this conversation last week about the Baseball Hall of Fame. And people seem to forget so fast how soon they forget. Julian Edelman was suspended for the first 4 games of the season. Why?
Steroid use.
Performing enhancing drugs. He was on steroids.
Steroid use.
Keep the same energy. Keep that same energy.
I posted this on Instagram, and they came after me. Folks came after me for this, and I'm thinking, how are you coming? First of all, even if he wasn't suspended, he's not a Hall of Famer. But he was suspended, and they came after me. I said, I need to get off social media. I need to get off of it. These people are crack.
I gotta educate these people. Do you know who's not in the Hall of Fame right now? Isaac Bruce is not in the Hall of Fame. Torrey Holt's not in the Hall of Fame. Chad Johnson's not in the Hall of Fame. Megatron's waiting to get in. You have guys in his own era that are better than him. You have Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham Jr. These people are all going to get in front of him. Has Julian Edelman ever been to a Pro Bowl? Has he ever been All-Pro? That's why he's saying Derek Fisher is a Hall of Famer. Come on, man.
Listen, you might as well. That's right. If you gonna put Julian Edelman in the Hall of Fame, you might as well put Wes Welker in the Hall of Fame. You might as well put Deion Branch in the Hall of Fame. You might as well put Corey Dillon in the Hall of Fame, and all these other players that's played with Tom Brady who he has made better. Okay, Tom Brady has played with one. I don't think Webster Slaughter's in the Hall of Fame. No, I think Webster Slaughter should get in the Hall of Fame. No, my point is that's what I'm saying. See, you got the greatest quarterback of all time. Okay, been to 9 Super Bowl, won 6. Okay, in that time frame, he's made a lot of mediocre players look great, just like Magic Johnson used to do. Okay, make players just look fabulous. That don't make them a Hall of Famer because I keep throwing you the rock. Okay, I got to find you with the rock. Okay, now you go somewhere else like Welker did, and he's never to be seen again. I think he's working down here at the beer cooler. Okay, I think he packed.
Yeah, he in the witness protection program.
You know something. Okay, that's my point. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, without Tom Brady, there's no Julian Edelman. Okay, what about Amendola? I guess he's a Hall of Famer too, right? So that's the thing. It's like slow your roll. And like I said, if I can come up with all these crazy names, everybody sound like a dish at Sidetracks or somewhere. Let me get Let me get some Amendola sausage with some Edelman cheese, you know, and a side of Welker. Oh, those are all Hall of Famers. Really? Give me a break.
I got a stat for you guys. I got a Kirkland stat for you guys. Okay. In the 9 seasons Julian Edelman has played, he has just over 5,000 yards receiving. Do you know who else has never mind. Dwayne Bowe, over his 9-year career, has 7,208 yards receiving over his career. And Dwayne Bowe is not sniffing the Hall of Fame. I just had to.
Point well taken.
Exactly.
Point well taken. So let's do before we go drop the mic. Let's use the crystal ball. Super Bowl is going to be in Miami. Everybody going to be white. It's going to be a Pitbull halftime show. I already see it. Pitbull, don't take your shirt off. But it's going to be one of those things. Who, Hank? Who do you see? We're just going to put it out here. Super Bowl 54. Who do you see?
You know what? I'm going. Here's my bold pick. I got to go with Showtime of Kansas City. I think they make it next year. Okay, and who do they play? The Chicago Bears. This is what I'm going with. They say defense wins championships. Okay, and if you think about it, you get that field goal in there. Now you got one of the teams don't nobody want to be bothered with. Okay, let's not forget how the Bears lost. So with a year, I think they got enough coming back. I know Showtime's coming back, but I think the Bears are going to be stout enough up front to take out the Rams, okay, take out the Eagles. And so I'm going with Kansas City, and I'm going with the Bears.
All right. Who you got, Darnell?
I'm just going to throw you guys for a loop, but I got a rematch. I have the New England Patriots. There's obviously no explanation has to be made for that, and they will be playing against the Atlanta Falcons. People are gonna sleep on this pick, but the Falcons, they're getting a high draft pick. They're getting a lot of players back because they saw the Atlanta. They struggled this year, but you got to realize Deion Jones is out almost the whole season. Keanu O'Neal, he was out for a long time. So the defense is going to be shored up, especially with pretty much the two captains of the defense were out the whole season, and now you have Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, Calvin Ridley from Alabama, and you're also going to have a very high draft pick because it didn't do well this year. So I think Atlanta's going to do very well, and I think they could possibly make it to the Super Bowl.
They always say the Kardashians come back. And so I'm going to say this is going to be an old-time Super Bowl. It's going to be the Steelers against the Rams. I think McVay rights the ship. I think the Kardashians, without all the preseason stuff, the Steelers put their act together. They clean the house. They don't have the preseason stuff. Mike Tomlin is like, you forgot about me. And I think they put it together, and it's against them and the Rams meeting down in Miami. And we might have to be in the house for that one. If my boys end up down there. Well, fellas, this is the first time doing it live from the studio. I love doing this stuff with you, but we know we can't end the show without the elder sending us off, dropping the mic. Drop the mic for us.
I certainly will. But I want to preface it by saying, and for the 54th year, the Detroit Lions will be watching Super Bowl from their couch. So anyway, we're going to stick with this Super Bowl. We're going to stick with this Super Bowl theme. I don't know, at Super Bowl, they have commercials and everything, and that's the other piece why people watch the halftime show and the commercial. But there was a real clever commercial the NFL put on. I don't know if y'all saw it, but it was to celebrate their 100th anniversary, okay? And in this commercial, they had some of the greatest players ever played in the game. You saw your Barry Sanderses, and you saw your Emmitt Smiths, and you saw Michael Irvin, and you saw Jerry Rice. You saw them all together. It was a real neat commercial. You get an opportunity to Google it. You have to do so. But the reason why I bring that up is because anytime you watching sports, anytime you're doing this, this is the segment that we call, let's give them something to talk about. I'm old enough to remember when Barry Sanders played and Emmitt Smith and Walter Payton in their prime and do things, okay? I hear a lot of people about the Super Bowl get so frustrated and talk about, I'm sick of seeing the Patriots. I'm sick of Tom Brady. Enjoy being a part of history. Enjoy having something to talk about. Let me tell you something. If nothing else for sports that we have something to talk about, okay? You have something to go back on. We in a generation right now where you got LeBron James saying he was the greatest of all time. You have people who agree with that. But those same people never saw Magic Johnson, never saw Michael Jordan outside of on film. Okay, now you're sitting in here in the now, where you get a chance to see a Tom Brady win 6 Super Bowls, a LeBron James, a great team like the Golden State Warriors, where now you got something to talk about. Okay, take the opportunity to have something to talk about. Wax that nostalgia. Take it all in. Don't get upset about it. Okay, yeah. Be happy when you say, you know, you want to see somebody get beat. Yeah, but if they don't get beat, I hated Michael Jordan, but I have to respect what the man did. Okay, I hated Magic Johnson, not because he was Magic, not because of Showtime, because he had to play against the Pistons, who are also great. Give them something to talk about. Have something to be wax nostalgic about. Okay, so you can sit right here one of these days and be the elder and say, yeah, they was great, but I remember that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. That's giving them something to talk about.